Good afternoon and welcome back to another video. Got a couple things going on today. Today's video, which is going to be replacing a lower control arm on my 2012 Expedition. So the main symptom sounds like this, which is obviously not good. So the fix is going to be this control arm right here. And this guy got it in Rock Auto for about $100, and we go ahead and get this thing installed. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys in time lapse. We're going to take off the wheel, and I'll kind of show you what's going on in there once we get the wheel off and kind of go from there. Should be good. All right, so we got the wheel off, and I got a supported by jack stands underneath each of the frame rails there. So this is our problem child right here. It's making a ton of noise. I don't know if the bearing's bad, and in hindsight, not bearing, the bushing right here is bad or what, but it's all making a bunch of noise. I was on here earlier checking it out. So yeah, we're gonna go and replace it. It looks like we got three major things that need to come off, and then it should be good to go. Keyword should. So we gotta go ahead and remove this bolt here. We're gonna remove this bolt for our strut assembly. That's gonna be interesting. I'm sure it's gonna be a pain in the butt. And then we gotta remove this ball joint, and we should be able to knock it up and out of the way. So these are some massive bolts. See if we got the right size for this. Yeah, that'll be fun. And everything else back here seems to be in good shape. Not really worried about anything else, so I think we'll be all right. There's some whack looking suspension in all honesty. I mean, they got all these adjustment points up here and everything, as opposed to just having an upper and lower control arm. But it is what it is, so let's go ahead and knock this out. We go ahead and put you guys back to time lapse, get some massive sockets, get everything off here. I got a massive monkey wrench, should help out, and we'll see how everything works out. Here we'll go ahead and use this front wheel drive axle nut set from Harbor Freight, and let's see what size these things are. Oh, maybe that is way too big. A 29's in the vicinity. I have a 27. Bet you it's 27. Let's check that one. I have this random 27 from somewhere, but fits here. 27, 27, and that's probably like I don't know, 20 something. So alrighty, time to go get out. I'm gonna whip out the impact, but my impact's kind of weak, so I may use I'll probably use a one up using a breaker bar, and let's go ahead and start getting this stuff off. Alright, so I didn't see that coming. This is actually not attached, whether that's by design. I hope that's by design. I think it may have rusted off right there. Holy crap, maybe that was my noise. Huh. Interesting, we're gonna look into this a little more. So, alright, that's definitely not supposed to be like that. So that's probably where our noise is coming from. I thought it was that bushing point up there, but evidently it was this creaking around. Just the more you know. We're gonna go ahead and get that, probably have to go order some new parts. So, we'll be back. Well, I guess I misdiagnosed it, so don't need the lower control arm after all. Wound up ordering new rear shocks for both sides, so we'll go ahead and get those replaced once they show up. It is what it is, so it kind of makes a lot more sense. I was curious why a rubber bushing would be making that much noise. I figured maybe it was totally shot and the metal was starting to rub the metal, but nope, having your strut disconnect from the lower control arm, that'll do it. So I'm gonna go put the wheel back on, limp it off to the side of the yard for now, and wait until the new ones show up in a couple days, and then we'll knock that out. That's wild. I've never seen that before. Did not expect that to be the case on this car, but yeah, there you go. So we'll go ahead and put the new ones on, and it is what it is. All right, so a couple days have gone by, and I went ahead and ordered the parts. They should be in tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and prep, get everything pulled apart, because I'm kind of a tight timeline, and I'll go ahead and knock it out. So looked up a couple videos on how to do this just to make sure I was doing it right, and it looks like there's a pretty easy way to get these out. So we gotta get the top three bolts out, which I'll show you in a minute. Then we gotta get the shock bolt out itself, and then we gotta get the upper control or the lower control arm bolt that's closest to the inside. Get that out, and the whole thing drops away, leaving it attached to the wheel. We'll be able to get it out pretty easily. So without further ado, let's go ahead and knock that out. So if you guys aren't sure, just to show you what I'm talking about, my upper strut or lower strut is not attached. That should be attached, and it's not. So we go ahead and take this off. Top one's gonna be pretty easy. We got three bolts around here that are 15 mil, and then we get out these big boys down here. All right, so I've loosened up all three on this side. There's one on the back, front, and side. And we're gonna go ahead and take off these two bottom bolts. We need to get that one out, which has a nut on the end. See right there. And we need to get that one out, which has a stopper on the end, so it should be a little bit easier. And I'm gonna use the big old impact I have because it's gonna be a lot easier than trying to use a breaker bar. But I'm sure you can get it with a breaker bar with enough patience and endurance. So here goes nothing. Over on this side, so this side's a 30 millimeter, and this side is a 27. So we're gonna grab our 27, get that locked on, get everything set up with the breaker bar, and then that's it to hold it. And this is gonna be our impact side. So let's go ahead and get after it. So it may go without saying, that is not supposed to be like that. So, yep, she's done. On to the next one. We're gonna get that bolt up there next. All right, so that side's out now. I'm gonna go ahead and slide everything out, and we're gonna go ahead and do this side next. While I'm down here, I'm just gonna go ahead and detach it now. Well, never mind. No, I'm gonna do the same thing I did just because I'm worried it'll be difficult to get leverage on that guy. So we're going to do this next. This will be slid out of the way. When we get our new one in, we're going to have to use a spring compressor, pull this whole coil assembly part, but that'll be a little bit later. In the meantime, let's get this other one off. So over on this side, same deal, detached. So go ahead and get off these three over here, and we'll keep on going. All right, so we got our struts out on the table. So what we got to do is go ahead and disassemble them. What that involves is compressing the spring, loosening this nut, and then really that's about it. So there's our spring compressor, good old Advanced Auto Special. I'll go take this guy over here. I'm gonna flip you guys a time lapse. We're gonna go get this thing set up and knock it out pretty easily. All right, so we went ahead and got the first one apart, and that's done. Set that off to the side. It's always a bit sketchy using a spring compressor, but if you're safe about it, it'll be good. Springs are in good shape, nothing to worry about there. We're gonna go ahead and do this one next. And yeah, old shock, fairly, doesn't fully want to become uncompressed, so it's usually a good sign that they're done. So I'm sure this thing is probably the original and seen better days. So we go ahead and get the new one on when it comes here. So I think this is a, yeah, we're gonna take that off too. So I'll take that off and transfer it over to the new one when it shows up as well. Alrighty, all pulled apart. Now we just gotta wait for our new parts to show up and it'll be good. You can see where it was hitting on the lower control arm on that side. This side seems not the worst for wear, but still absolutely crazy. Like never would have thought. Oh, I guess it's rubbing right there. Yeah, that's wild. Holy cow. Never would have guessed. So, there we have it. Get the new one show up tomorrow and go ahead and put this thing back together. So it's the next day. We went ahead and got our new ones in. And these are them right here. So it looks like these things slide down, just a little bit interesting, a little different, like so. And yeah, let's go ahead and start getting this back together. So we got to put this back on. Came with new bump stops. To be honest, I'm probably going to reuse the original ones. I don't really like how these are set up. So we'll reuse the original ones, or not, we'll see. And then, yeah, that's really about it. So we'll go ahead and disassemble these things, put it back together, toss the old stuff, and go ahead and get on with this. Go ahead over to time lapse. All right, so they're back together. A little bit different than the old one. So there's no bushing or boot that went underneath them. This one was set up to accept it just the way it was. So a little bit different from the old design. And the top half was the same, nothing crazy there. So looks like we're good to go. I want to be using the other bump stops. These things are kind of a pain in the butt to try and get around the nub up there. And it'll be fine. So we're just gonna let those hang, no worries. It is what it is. So let's go ahead and get these things back on the car. Let's go ahead and head underneath. All right, so the two bolts closest to me are closest together, and that third one's kind of a far stretch. So it took a minute to get the right orientation, but we got it, and it's in. So I'm gonna leave them loose, and we're gonna go ahead and get the bottom side in, and then we'll tighten those up at the end. All right, so this side's all done. Let's go ahead and get on the other side. Same deal. Should be pretty easy. Alrighty, that's both sides done. I'm not gonna film putting the wheels and tires back on. It's pretty straightforward. But yep, shocks, struts are, well, struts I should say, and replaced. Not too bad. Let's hope the Chinesium metal these things are made out of holds up. Otherwise we'll be doing this again probably not too far in the future, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, looking at the Expedition, not a huge fan of the way this thing is set up in terms of the rear suspension. All the load bearing is on that one joint right here. And it's not even the joint that I'm worried about, it's the fact that the joint ties into that very thin piece of welded metal on the shock. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like the greatest design, but here's what it is. So, see how many miles we get of these things, get this thing back together, and do a test drive. Alright, so we're going ahead and driving around. I gotta say, well, it feels about how it should, so I guess that's a good sign. One of the reasons I wanted to get this done is I'm getting ready to go ahead and tow the GT500 for a couple hundred miles. And it'd be real awkward to have 2 disconnected rear shocks and suspension, I guess. So it is what it is, but I'm glad that it was caught and that it's going back together. One of those things where it's just, you never really know what's going on until you really look at things. It's crazy. So still not a failure I expected to see happen, but after seeing the design, I'm not that surprised. But it sucks, at least it failed in a somewhat safe manner. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out in the future when I need more additional towing and whatnot. But yeah, that's about it. So if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a comment, like, and wind up seeing you guys in the next one. Which hopefully this will be some more fun content with the GT500, but we shall see how things go. Who knows what adventure awaits around the corner. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.